Okay. I guess Praveen, while you're looking at that, we'll go ahead and just kind of get started on the front end, and once we get to that point, so obviously first and foremost, obviously everybody welcome to I guess this month's meeting. I guess I will quickly say that I do apologize for kind of pushing this thing out. I think 2 times. There's kind of been some scheduling conflicts and some impromptu, basically, I guess, voluntold scenarios in my personal arena that had to get completed. So I had to push this around. So again, I apologize for pushing it out as far as we have, but hopefully we still got some good things to discuss around, and I believe next month should be kind of back on track as far as I believe the third Tuesday of the month. So with that being said, as always, safety. We want to make sure that everybody's in a safe location and your evacuation routes if anything may happen while you're on this call. And if you're driving and listening, if you need time to go ahead and pull over to a safe spot so you can listen without any type of any issues of worrying about other folks on the road. So I'll give a quick 2 minutes to go ahead and make sure that you're in a safe location and able to do such. Okay. So everybody's in a safe location. So obvious, as always, what we're trying to do with these meetings is record for future use. For anybody who cannot attend, they have the option of going and viewing these when they can. So as always, just kind of be mindful that these are going to be recorded. So kind of keep that in mind as far as anything you may say or actually say or show will be available to others as well. So just kind of be mindful of that. So real quickly, just kind of want to give a quick couple updates before we kind of move into the actual, I guess, the meat of it all. So as everybody may or may not know, I think there was a communication that was sent out last month about the fall consortium. So the ones for you folks that may not know, the times for that is October 9th to the 12th. So I think that's a Monday through Thursday. And what I've done is I actually added within the agenda that I sent out to everyone. If you click on the link on the agenda, it'll actually bring you to more information of where you can book, how you can book. I believe everything's actually out there on the SDS Consortium site already. So if you don't know all the details, you could either go to the sdsconsortium.com website. I believe there's actually a link once you log in to other upcoming events off to the right side that you can see that from. Or even, like I said before, I kind of just copied and pasted the link in here. If you want to open up that PDF that was sent out today, you can click on that link and it'll automatically direct you to that page. So hopefully that'll be able to help you out as far as finding hotels, costs, anything of that nature that you may need to have for either yourself and or your managers to agree to any type of compensation as far as budget and that type of thing. So I guess real quickly, is there any questions or anything that anybody may have around the consortium meeting next fall? I'm sorry, not this fall. This fall. Excuse
me. I have one. Can everybody hear me okay? This is Chris Strickland at Mesa.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Are we going to be recording the sessions and all of the different consortium sessions throughout the conference?
I think that was the question that was asked, and I believe that they haven't really figured out a solution as far as getting any type of AV equipment to do that. One thing I wouldn't mind trying is to try to do that at least for hours using maybe a GoToMeeting session and see if basically the hard drive can handle it and just try it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that question has been brought up. As far as I know, and I'll double check, but I may be wrong. But as far as I know, that they currently do not have the AV equipment set up for it at the moment. But that may change between here and now. But I think what I would like I said, what I would like to do at least for hours is to at least have a GoToMeeting session open if anybody wants to join. Obviously, it'll just probably be a computer with a webcam sitting on the table somewhere. So at least we can try to do it a little bit that way. Maybe not recording per se, but at least having a web client to where people from outside who couldn't make it still might be able to log into that meeting and view some things.
Okay. Yeah, because we have some physical design folks here that are going to be doing Inventor at some point, and they would like they are not going to be able to make it, but they would like to still get the same information. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll talk to Jeremy because I know he's the chair over the physical side. Because I know that since he is my colleague at Duke, we both have GoToMeeting capabilities. So I might actually suggest that to him as well and see if he can set something up on his end.
Awesome. That'd be great. Thank you.
No problem. I guess also too, that kind of brings up to another point I totally kind of forgot about. There will possibly also be, for the folks who do not have the toolkits installed or haven't really physically used them yet, there will be some toolkit, I guess, interaction. I think that SBS is willing to provide. I don't know exactly how many they may have, but I think the thoughts from Trevor currently is to have some of those toolkit installed on a couple of touchdown computers that they will provide. So for folks who may want to actually kind of play with it who haven't had a chance to yet, the opportunity will be available to you, this consortium. Like I said, I don't know how many they're going to have at the moment. It hasn't been decided yet, but they do. I think they are trying, or at least planning on trying to do that for the folks that, like I said, haven't had a chance to mess with the toolkits physically yet, so they can play around a little bit and see some of the functionality and with your own button, with your own clicking instead of other folks kind of demoing. But once I get more details, I'll try to make sure I pass that on. All right. Any other questions? I think I have a couple other things about the consortium, but I'll hold off to the end. Is there any other additional comments or anything about or questions around our meeting in the fall?
Jeremy is here. Just wanted to let you know I am going to use the GoToMeeting as long as the hotel can accommodate. It just depends on that because our session for the Inventor side is going to be actually in the hotel and not at the facilities.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as it's not like Burns and Mac with the Faraday cage, we should be all right.
All right.
Okay, so there you go. I guess, Chris, there's your, I guess, answer on the physical side.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Of course, though, the idea is trying to get as much information out there as possible as best we can. But of course, we are limited by budget and what we can do, I guess, personally and that type of thing, since the consortium officially doesn't have any type of budget to use.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll definitely try our best to see what options we have available to us and for everyone else to
let me know how I can help because I've had some experience with video editing and doing kind of podcast stuff when I was in early college. So yeah, if you guys need any help, just let me know.
All right, yeah, definitely. Thanks for the opportunity to do such. Okay. Anybody else? I guess real quickly before we move on to the next topic. Okay. All right. So I guess real quickly, so our next topic of discussion, and I believe Nate, you're on the line, correct? I believe I see you here.
Yes, I am. I'm here.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna make you a presenter so we can show your screen. I'm sorry to push you ahead of time, but I think I didn't get no response from Randy and them. So
Okay.
technically you got the whole 30 if you
Gee,
need it.
I don't know. We'll see. I see if I can see if there's
If
enough
not,
questions or whatever.
yeah, that's perfectly fine. If not, we definitely can field questions and those type of things at some time. Or again, we can kind of end early with this session as well. And like, again, I apologize for not having, I guess, so much context this go around than last time. Just because, like I said, we've been kind of busy, at Duke right now, especially trying to get some things in place. That's been kind of taking priority over a couple things. So, but with that, anyways, Nate, I'll let you go ahead and run with it if you're ready.
All right.
I know you said there's some release updates. I believe that you guys just released last week.
Yep. Just finished up my my PowerPoint as you were speaking.
There we go.
So,
I can keep talking if you need me to. I have no problem doing that.
I think we're good. I mean, I can fix a few bugs if you keep talking. I'll fix another bug. All right. So I don't know if any of you have been using the beta AutoCAD or the SDS beta, but you don't have to use the beta anymore because we are now officially running 7.1. 7.0 was released January 31st, I believe, of this year. So we're about 6 months out. So it was due. We've fixed or added 57 documented new features. And when I say documented, I use that term very loosely. We have a list of them, but that's about it. We haven't updated our documentation yet. But anyway, the features and bug fixes are in there. Now you're probably thinking, well, how do I get the new 7.1 release? Well, let me show you, okay? So you launch AutoCAD Electrical and SDS, and you go to your SDS projects button right here. And hopefully you can see my screen. Am I sharing right screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So then you hit project settings, and this dialog pops up, and you'll probably see it say, it'll probably say 7.0. That's the January release. All you have to do is flip it to 7.1. Then you exit out of AutoCAD and restart AutoCAD, and you'll be running the new version. So there's no uninstall, no reinstall. It's just one click. Now, if you're running the older version, 16 or 6.17 or prior, you will need to uninstall and reinstall, but that's a pretty painless, quick operation to be able to access the new 7.0, 7.1. And you can get the installer on the SDS website. It just slips my mind what the actual, I think it's SDS Substation Design Suite something.com. All right, so what I want to do today is just kind of run through some of the 57 things that are new or fixed and see if anybody has any questions or interest in maybe seeing or knowing more about them. So here's the first 10 items that are in the 7.1 release. And I'm just going to pick out a few things that may be of interest to you. For example, number 3, we are now supporting, we had somebody ask us on a wiring diagram, when I annotate a wiring diagram, maybe I want to see the wire number actually show up in the annotation. Maybe I'm not doing a terminal strip, because on terminal strips, the annotation can show automatically. In fact, let me just go ahead and freshen this annotation. Right here, I just have a 2 drawing project, so it's going to go pretty fast. So I window my wiring diagram, and the annotation pops in. Okay, so on the terminal strip, I'll wait for it to finish. All right, so on a terminal strip, it does show the wire number, but pretty much everything else, you probably are not seeing the wire number. But if you wanted to see a wire number and have it update automatically whenever you run the annotation tool, we now have a new button underneath the annotate. It's called Wire Num Anno Label. So basically, you click on this, and you go to the spot in the drawing where you want to see the wire number, and let's see if this works. Okay, well that one didn't have a wire number. Let me find one that has a wire number. Assignment. I think the fuse does. So let's say on this fuse you want to see the wire number. I think if I click here, yeah. So there, it went the wrong direction, but let me just right click on it. Wire number leader. Boom. So there's the wire number coming off that fuse, T1-TN. And if I change the wire number on the schematic or on the elementary and then rerun the annotation tool, it should update not only the annotation if that changed, but also update the wire number if that changed. So this is something that we've added per your requests in 7.1. So let's go back to the list and keep on moving. If you have any questions, just shout them out, okay? So I'm gonna roll here. Okay, the next thing is number 4. We are now supporting, in the annotation, you can now have an alias assigned to the device. For example, let's go back over here and look at the Schweitzer relay. So this Schweitzer relay here, its tag name is 11-T1BU. And these test switches, this test switch right here is RTS-3. That's the tag name. So if I would surf on this, it's going to be surfing on RTS-3. It didn't find one, did it? Let me find, this is a real, yeah, I have one schematic and one wiring diagram. So let's do it this one. It's going to find something here. So if I surf on this test switch, I see a couple connections that show up. But we have a number of clients that like to identify on the wiring diagram, on the panel layout wiring diagram. They don't want to reference everything by the full tag name. They want to have an alias. And maybe the alias is based upon like a grid reference on the panel itself, you know, starting at A and working so A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then work across. So in this example here, I have, for example, this relay right here, 11-T1. That's what it is on the schematic and everywhere else. But I have the option to substitute the letter R on wiring diagram annotation wherever 11-T1 shows up. Same way with test switches. For example, instead of RTS4, I want to see RA instead of RTS-4. This attribute is actually an AutoCAD electrical attribute. It's the mount, M-O-U-N-T attribute, which we are kind of taking over in SDS. AutoCAD electrical doesn't really use it for anything. It was just there in case the user wanted to, could think of something to use it for. Well, we thought of something to use it for. So let me show you how this works. So I'm going to run the annotation tool. So I pick on it, dialog pops up. This is new for 7.1. This line right here, tag override. The default version or the default behavior is no override, but I can flip this to be mount. If on the wiring diagram I have the attribute called mount and it's not blank, then I'm going to substitute that attribute's value for the tag attribute value in all the annotation. So let me turn this on. I'm gonna hit OK. Now watch what happens when I annotate. I'm just going to annotate a couple of these guys and watch what happens. You'll see some changes happen here. All right. So for example, right here on A18, it now says Q-A18, where before it was saying 11/T1-A18. For the RTS5, RB, those findings, oh, here's an RA right here. Here's RA13. This used to say RTS-4-13. So substituting these alias codes, which is actually the mount attribute value, for the annotation. Just make it shorter, cleaner, and a lot of folks seem to like it that way. So that's number 4. I gotta move quickly here because we're gonna run out of time. And again, if you have some questions, shout them out. Let's look at number 6 here. Okay, we now have support for drawing little leaders out to a third annotation attribute called wire NOXB. I don't know if you've had instances where you actually needed 3 wire connections to a given point. That might happen, not very often, but it could happen. So we've now support up to actually 4 attributes, but 3 of them you can have leaders going to. Okay, so that's in 7.1. Let's go down to the next one here. Let's see, let's go down to 15. I think I marked that as something of interest. Okay. On the reference only tool, I don't know if you've used that very much, but we've made some enhancements so that in this case, this is just one of many enhancements. So let me move on to the next one because we're going to hit this again. 16, number 16, the toggle command can now flip a cable marker between parent and child. So the way this works is, let's say I don't know if I have any cable markers on this little schematic. I guess I don't. But if you have a schematic and maybe you've inserted 4 child cable markers on a 4-conductor cable and you say, oh man, I really want one of those to be a parent, you can hit this tool right here, toggle sim, click on one of those children and it'll flip it to a parent symbol. Or if you have 2 parents and you want, oh man, I want those to be all children, you can click on the 2 children and it'll flip them back to parents. So basically this will toggle, this tool can be used to toggle cable markers back and forth between parent and child. Again, these are things that have come up from user requests and with us just kind of working with the product and thinking, well, that might not be a bad idea if we made it do this or that. Okay, number 19, we now support polyline jumpers between different wiring diagram component connections. So this is just a polyline that you draw on between 2 components, the pin numbers on any components on a wiring diagram. This is on the wiring diagram. It could be on any layer, and AutoCAD Electrical SDS will sense that polyline jumper and suppress the annotation if it finds it. So let me give you an example here. Let's see if we can do it here. If we find, okay, R to A17. All right, so here's an example. Let's try this. So on this relay, maybe I'm getting too far in the weeds here. On this relay, it's relay R, because we have that mount thing turned on. A17 goes to test switch RA13, which is down here, right here. Now, just for grins, I'm going to put in a polyline jumper. So I run the P-line command. Let's see if this works. P-line. And I want to go from the end of this. And I'm going to go, this is going to be a pretty ugly jumper. But as long as it's a polyline, it'll work to there. Okay. Now let's rerun the annotation and see if AutoCAD Electrical SDS will suppress this annotation here and here, because it no longer needs it, because we have a jumper actually drawn between those 2 points. So let's see what happens. I'm going to take a chance here. So I'm going to re-annotate this guy and this guy. Boom, look at that, took it out. Now you're saying, oh, that's just smoke and mirrors. Let me delete the jumper and rerun the annotation, see if it pops back in. So re-annotate this guy and this guy. We should see it pop back in. There it is. So all it has to be is a polyline. You can put it on any layer. It has to be continuous polyline. And I think you could have bends in it. I mean, it could have curves in it, you know, shapes, whatever. As long as it has an end, 2 ends, you're good. SDS will recognize it. All right, let's keep going here. Okay, so that was number 19. Let's go down to 24, which is on the next page. Okay, a new command, pin surf. This might be interesting, especially for large Schweitzer relays. I have a small one here. It doesn't have a lot of connections, but let me show you the difference between surf and pin list surf, which we've added in 7.1. So if I surf, let's say I surf on this relay. I'm going to get, well, I don't get a lot because there's not a lot of connections here, but I see every connection. I've had some relays that it'll fill up the entire page. But if I use this new command called, it's under the surf part of the dialog here, ribbon, I mean, surf on component pin. If you click on that, and then you zoom in and you click right on, let's say A22. It's only going to show me the connections that tie into pin A22 on this particular relay. So there it is. Here's where I am now, and I can jump to where the other end is. And there it is right there, A22. Is that the one I picked? And I pick A26, whatever. There's A26 right there. Nope, it's A22. Okay. Okay, so that's another, that's a new command we've added to the tool set.
Hey Nate, real quickly, with that command you just showed, is there any special configuration or creation of the components that need to happen, or is it still just using the same the wire number attribute and all that jazz?
Nothing changed. Nothing changed.
Okay.
It's just the tool is accessing, doing a little better job in accessing existing data.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Let's do number 30. I don't know if you guys have ever, when you pop in a wiring diagram terminal strip, you have an option to define the very first terminal to look different than the body of the terminals. Okay, so maybe you want to show like a little screw connection or something at the top. So you can actually create a first version of the terminal you want to use, and then the second, third, fourth, fifth use, you know, the rest of this without the first suffix. We've added a last suffix. We needed that because we had some customers that wanted to actually show a little, on a terminal strip, they actually physically want to show the little end piece on the terminal strip for the beginning, and then they want to show a reverse version of that end piece at the other end. So we added a underscore last option. So if you create, terminal symbol that ends with an underscore LAST, then that will be placed as the very last terminal that pops in. All right, so that was number 30. We're almost done here, because I know I'm probably going way over time here. Let's go to next page. 31.
We got about 10 to 12 minutes, something
10
like
minutes.
that.
All right,
Yeah,
we'll
like 10
make
to
it.
15, somewhere around there.
We'll make it.
That's fine.
Now, in AutoCAD Electrical, if you're running SDS tools on AutoCAD Electrical 2017 or 2018, when you were surfing, it always wanted to close the drawing before it would surf to the next drawing. Very painful. And the way around it was to hold the shift key down while you were surfing. Now, this only happened with 2017 and 2018. We've made it so that you don't have to do that. Surfing is now, you just right click, you surf, boom. It doesn't close the drawing. It doesn't prompt you for anything. It just does it. It acts like the normal AutoCAD MDI mode. So that appeared in this new release that came out a week ago. And this makes surfing so much more pleasant. Okay, let's go down to 42. Okay, surfing now does, when you're surfing on symbols, if some of them are marked reference only and some are marked as master, it will actually display that in the surf dialog, which is kind of nice. When you mark some symbols as reference only, sometimes you want to find those. And now the surfer window will show you which ones are reference only. So that was added. And let's go to the next page. Okay, this is our last page. Okay, now earlier I told you that you could use the toggle command, the sim toggle command, to flip between parent and child cable markers. You can also use it to flip between source destination arrows. So if you pop in some arrow symbols and you say, well, really, I got those reversed. I want the source end to be at the other end and the destination, I got them flipped. Just run the toggle command, pick on the arrows, and it will flip them to the opposite state. So it'll flip a source to a destination. If you pick on a destination, it'll flip it to a source. All right, the deref command, this is our drawing reference tool. It's used mostly for cable markers, but you can use it for some other things. But we did add kind of a neat little feature where if you make the deref attribute a multi-line attribute, you can encode it to break to a second or third line by encoding this little pipe symbol into the prompt, the attribute prompt string. So I don't have enough time really to show you how this works, but maybe the next time we get together we can do that. But it's kind of neat. All right. Actually, the rest of these I think are just bugs that we fixed. Now you can get a complete list of this. Let me show you how. So let's go back to SDS. To get a list of the enhancements and the bug fixes, just type in SDS new, all one word at your command prompt. SDS new, hit return. And if you go down to the revision listing, which is here, scroll down to it, you're going to see a listing of all 57 things that we've fixed in this particular release. So they're all listed here. Basically what I just showed you in the PowerPoint is this right here. All right, so we're going to have a 7.2 coming up, I don't know, before Christmas, hopefully. Does anybody have some suggestions or ideas or things that we at SBS should be thinking about including in version 7.2?
Nate, this is Jared again. I don't know, guess I'll throw my 2 cents. I haven't really played with the toolkit all too much lately, but I know the one thing that I know at one point in time, just because I know that, especially what we've been working on right now, bill of material is really a big thing that we're trying to, or just basically tracking of assets and those type of things. I know that the toolkit has that mark, that mark tool where you can mark it as new or existing, and it colors it green and all that good stuff.
Right. Let me show you where that is. There's actually 2 versions. There's the enterprise version, which you pick out of SDS projects, but then there's a wiring and component version, which is, let me show you where that is.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking about that one right there specifically.
This one right here?
Yeah, because I think the one thing that, I think the one thing that would be nice that I don't think it does yet, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, would be if you pick a schematic variant of that one you want to mark, if it could automatically mark the wiring and or the panel variant as well at the same time.
Okay.
And I think right now it doesn't do that. You have to do it onesie twosie.
Right. Okay. So
we might have had a conversation about this before in the past, but I just know that would probably be a beneficial thing, in my opinion.
So what you'd like to see is maybe, let's say this test switch here. If you were going to mark that as being add or remove, you'd like it to also find that on the wiring diagram and actually mark the equivalent on the wiring diagram as add remove as well.
Yeah.
Kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, I guess really just kind of take out some of the possible error, potential human error that could happen with, having to go and remember, well, which ones did I add exactly, and that type of thing. And or, I mean, if it can't do that, maybe even something similar to just as another segue, almost like the task manager that you can use, if you want to throw something in task to hold it or to bring a list up, and then you say, I want to go ahead and mark all these, or no, or whatever. I don't know. That's another thought.
Okay.
All
right.
I know a lot of our current, one thing we're trying to do with this as well is try obviously eliminate error and get better quality out the door. And the less time that they can spend doing clicking, the better in a nutshell. Right. So I guess for me personally, that's one thing that'd be kind of nice if that can be added in the future releases.
Okay, great idea. Thanks, Jared.
No problem.
Who's next?
This is Tim from Empirical.
Okay.
I was hoping that when we try to insert double-decker terminals and we do an SDS annotation, regardless of what schematic terminal number value we have, that terminal, when it comes into the wiring diagram, just lists the sequential wire order number as opposed to listing what is the terminal value is in the schematic. And so if I have like double-decker terminals that are built in the regular AutoCAD electrical model, like if I insert them with the SDS TS panel command and then annotate them with SDS anno, I get, instead of getting the 2 different numbers, I'll get like 1, 1 and 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, and so on. And also I was wondering, some of the connection diagrams for breakers and things that we use, they don't follow like a sequential 1 through X terminal number. They sometimes it's like C1, C2, and things like that. So I was wondering, could there be a toggle put into the SDS, maybe TS panel command, or the I would say it would be the SDS TS panel command, that we could either use a sequential terminal order, or maybe toggled so that the command could read directly from the schematic values.
Okay, so right now, if you would pop in the terminal strip and you start at terminal 1 and you want, let's say 100 terminals, it's going to go 1 through 100, and you would like to be able to say, okay, just give me the terminal numbers that it finds on the schematic instead of going sequentially from 1 to 100. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, that would be one. And then secondly, I guess maybe that would also fit into the command using the terminal number L and R 1 and 2 in the double-decker terminals, or when you associate terminals. Maybe that could fix that problem too.
Okay, so you're using the AutoCAD electrical terminal strip editor to create these double-deck terminal strips. Is that what you're doing?
No, not the terminal strip editor. Just we're using the block. We're using the attributes to create blocks. But we're not using that to actually insert them. What we have to do right now actually is we split the terminal into a top and a bottom, and then use the same insertion point.
Oh,
so
okay.
So yeah, that's.
Okay, Tim, could you send me, you're Tim, right? T-I-M,
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Okay, if you're willing to send me a couple drawings that illustrate what you're doing, and then I can maybe troubleshoot it and figure out perhaps a workaround or a solution.
Okay.
Would you be willing to do that?
Sure thing. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, just send it to Nate.Holt at spatialbiz.com, spatialbiz.com. All right, who's next?
I could go again if that's okay.
Okay, Tim, go for it.
With the SDS SIGFAN command that was fixed, we're noticing that if we want to draw a cable that the final position is the bottom, but in the terminals are vertical, so we're either going to pull out right or left. What happens is the SIGFAN command is not picking up the terminals connection points, because it's not finishing on a final position of right or left.
Yeah, I noticed that about a week ago. I was using that tool and I thought, wait a minute. I wanted to come out the bottom, but I wanted to go off to the right or something. And it insisted, it had to, if I said I want to start going down, it has to end down.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had the same problem with left and right direction every now and then.
Well, this is consistent on the SIGFAN, which is not the, the text fan is the one for the wired. Yeah. So, but we got the text fan works fine, I believe, in most cases. So maybe we need to look at what we did for that one and apply it to the SIGFAN. Okay. Yeah, Tim, I can relate to that one because I ran into it about a week ago. Okay, Tim, you got any more? You're on a roll.
That's the two off the top of my head. I think that's all I got.
All right, so double deck terminals, you're going to send me some sample drawings. The TS panel one, it'd be nice to be able to have an option to only push out terminals that actually exist on the schematics. And the SIGFAN thing, need to fix that. Okay, so Tim is done. Is anybody else? We got about a minute. Get one in.
I don't know if this is like we want a solution, but I know we've talked about multi-line text, and I've noticed that if you have your description 1, 2, and 3 as a multi-line text, and let's say you have parent symbols in one drawing, and then you have a child symbols on the second drawing, but your description 1, you changed it to multi-line so that it's top and bottom. I've noticed when you run, let's say and then you say, oh, I want to change the tag of this relay, and you change the tag, AutoCAD locks up on the second drawing because it hits that description 1 attribute, and then it doesn't update the rest of your symbols.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is an Autodesk problem. I don't know if we can do anything about it. At least I don't think I can do anything directly about it, but we can get on their Idea Station website and
Yeah, I think we have it. I just
Between-
wanted to bring that up so that if others are planning to use multi-line, you need to be very careful because
Yeah.
I mean, it would be really nice if AutoCAD allowed multi-line, update, but we're running into issues like that. And, I mean, the workaround is to use rating attributes instead of desk 1, 2, and 3, because with rating, AutoCAD does not lock up, but it does lock up with desk 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
On multi-line.
Multi-line text. Okay. All right, Jared, I think I've used up more than my time, a lot of time, so I'm going to give it back to you, okay?
All right, well, I appreciate you taking your time out to show us all that, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be more recommendations coming in the near term.
I hope so. Just send them to me.
Will do, definitely. Thank you again. All right, so let's get back. Okay, I guess out of if I can get my screen to come back on. There we go. All right. So to kind of get back real quick, I know we got 10 minutes left. So one thing that I wanted to kind of at least bring to your attention, if you possibly can, and just kind of to think about again, to go back to our consortium, let's go, our face-to-face meeting that's coming up October. So what I would like to request, anyways, would be to just, I guess, really mainly my thought right here is to kind of tailor this as best we can towards what you guys as the the viewing audience want to kind of see, and so that way we're not putting too much emphasis on one area than others, or trying to basically make sure we're all kind of going out path that people either want to see, show, talk about, what have you. So I kind of put together some ideas or some examples of topics of discussion that we can kind of brainstorm around. Not that we have to come up with a solution right this second, but just kind of something to think about. So things I kind of wrote down, just kind of off the top of my head, was one thing I do want to ask is that if there's any demos that you guys want to present to anybody, then I of course welcome that. Just want to make sure that I kind of know what those are. Kind of the main reason I'm asking these questions is I'm going to start trying to put an agenda together pretty soon, so I can kind of have at least kind of start sooner than later, kind of have a good idea, and so you guys have a good idea of kind of what the game plan is for October. And also folks who do want to demo things and want to show stuff, you guys kind of can get your, I guess, demo presentation material together and ready to go in some amount of reasonable time. But of course, for those that get on the agenda, I'll need to kind of get some feedback from y'all if you want to, for whoever wants to actually demo some things and kind of what it is.
Jared, this is Courtney from Entergy.
Yes.
I know last time we discussed having beginner / intermediate or advanced, beginner and advanced. Are
Yes.
we going to break out into separate sections?
Yeah, I think my thought was continue with that. I know this particular meeting I didn't go to that level because, truth be told, I didn't have time to put some of that stuff together. So yeah,
for this one, but for the consortium.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was some of my thought. Of course, you guys, by all means, if that doesn't still pique interest, then that's fine. But again, I kind of want to try to tailor some of this. But yes, long story short, my plan was to separate things out. If it's more of a, I guess, quote unquote, I don't know if beginner's the right word, but let's say just looking at it, or kind of exploring things, or just kind of more out of the box functionality. Then I had a feeling, or had some thoughts of kind of breaking some of those things out, as separate kind of modules. And then the things that we can come together on, like, for example, some recommendations of functionalities on the toolkits even can probably be a everybody together type thing. So that was kind of some of my thought process. So that would kind of leave the window open for other folks. If you guys want to also adventure into the other rooms and kind of see what the other sides are doing, then you have that opportunity to do such if it's something we're going over that you may not be interested in. Was kind of my thought.
Okay, because if it was all going to be more advanced type discussion, I'm probably not quite ready for that. But if there was going to be some, you know,
Mhm.
introductory type stuff, to maybe possibly do a small presentation on something. But before I offered up something, I wanted to see if there was going to be that separation.
Yeah, I think I would definitely want to try to separate out, but I guess what I will say is that nothing will be off bounds. I mean, whatever you guys want to show, more than welcome to show. You know, I have no problem with that at all. I think the more information we can get out there, the better off we can learn from each other. So, but yeah, I think, but that was some of my thought, kind of very similar to these current meetings that we're doing, is kind of trying, not you know, again, not trying to alienate anyone in particular, just trying to try to tailor a little bit towards both sides of the house. Cause I know some folks or some companies are just getting in, and some has been in it for a while, so that way we can try to at least accommodate as best we can. But I know I went through, I taught a lot through a simple question, but yes, definitely that was my plan, is to separate those out.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So even going with that question, so a couple of things that I was kind of thinking about as well was like here, like you kind of see on the screen, you know, lessons learned. So kind of going back to the beginning of things to a degree, or the beginner side, you know, some organizational challenges that folks may want to discuss around. So, you know, some changes that you had to do internally, something as simple as, you know, what modifications you had to do to CAD standards, how'd you handle it, change management issues, personnel changes, management discussions, so forth, so on. You know, then kind of getting more on the advanced side, or I won't say advanced, but kind of, I guess, really the kind of everybody in the room side, you know, some discussions around what new software features, recommendations we may have, kind of what Nate's asking with the toolkits. And then also kind of added in there, you know, some needed or new workflow documents that we currently don't have that possibly need to be created. So copy design, workflow, creation of an SEL. I think one thing I was going to present on was how to create basically an SEL and build it out. That's kind of beneficial for us beginner folks as well who may not know how to do that. So, you know, anything of those natures. Of course, you know, I would like to receive some feedback from you guys. So I think I have one here as an action item for everybody. If you could do that, would be to kind of send me and Rand or Randy some recommendations around some of these topics that you guys would like to talk about in the fall, say by the end of next month. So again, like I said, that way we can put some down on the agenda, so we can kind of, again, try to figure out some time frames, and you guys have enough time to kind of put together, anybody who's doing demos have enough time to put together a demo if you need to, or a video, or however, whatever medium that you want to use to present. So I was thinking, you know, end of October was kind of when you can get those to me. I think one thing too, once I do kind of start getting some in, one thing I'd like probably we'll send out as well, just to kind of, if we have a lot of things, is maybe to send out a survey, just like we kind of did at the beginning, not beginning of the year, but kind of the middle of the year when we first got this back going again, to kind of see what the, I guess, level set of the room is, to kind of get some yays or nays around some of the topics, so we can start again. That just basically helps me out on kind of prioritizing some things. And getting our consortium meeting kind of set up and ready to go. So with that, is there any questions or other comments or anything anybody may have?
Hi, Jared. This is Lipika from Entergy. I had a question regarding, I'm currently working on AutoCAD Electrical's database catalog browser at Entergy. So I just wanted to reach out to everyone and see if anyone has had any success with integrating catalog browser with Vault. Because
catalog
right now,
browser with Vault, you said? I'm sorry, I couldn't understand.
Yes, with Vault,
okay.
Vault Pro.
Okay.
Because right now what I see is that it can be stored in Vault, but it will be a static file. So if I have multiple designers working on it, each time there is an update, they would have to do a get on that file to get it. To get the update. So has anyone had any success of integrating this catalog browser with Vault Pro? Like, how are they the best practice to work around with it? Okay.
Yeah, I guess to throw, I guess, my 2 cents in there, I know that us at Duke, we have done a lot with Vault and content interaction. So obviously I don't want to solve the issue on the phone here, but of course you're more than welcome to contact me at any point in time, and I can go through some of the stuff that we've gone through with it, and kind of what the thought process is around the content browser and how we utilize it with evolving standards and what have you. But of course, anybody else, if anybody else has dealt with that, I guess more than welcome to comment right now if you would like to as well.
Chris Strickland here in Mesa. We will be doing the same thing, so that'd be really good to hear a follow up on that as well. We're going to be working with content libraries at some point, I'm sure. So maybe have you posted on the forum about it at all, or is there anything already going? Or
is that an overall question to anybody? Or I guess, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I haven't posted in the forum, but I did bring this up in the technology committee meeting. So
okay.
There was an action point in technology committee of having best practices of working with Vault. So I brought up a point that we should have a separate best practice document for Inventor and Electrical, because Vault handles these two programs in a very different way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Thing comes up, I'll definitely bring it up to this call.
Okay.
So yes, I guess it sounds like there might be a couple interested on that topic in general. So maybe even I can probably put something on the books for next discussion. Maybe not to get down to the weeds of it all, but maybe at least get some discussion around the like some of the high level topics around it of integration and how basic functionality would happen and that type of thing. So I definitely can ask something like that for next topic. But again, like I said, if you want if you and or I guess that was Tim, right? If I remember right.
No, that was Chris Strickland. Sorry.
Oh, Chris, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, if one of you or Chris, or if you guys, like I said, if we want to get into the weeds of that type of particular topic, you're more than welcome to put it on the forum, and or you can email me directly. And like I said, I can give you guys some information on what we've done here at Duke around that exact thing. And it may help, I don't know if it may help, may not, whatever. But we have to, at least discuss the topic, try to, might spur some ideas maybe. But I'm more than willing to help with that if you would like. Just let me know.
Yeah. Sure. And I just had a quick comment. I was working through family codes, and I noticed that the new consortium provides, in the buddy drive, there is a document of new family codes. And in that, we have a family code CA for carrier equipment. But we are using the same code for capacitors as well. So there's a redundancy there.
Okay.
So maybe that's something we can correct.
Okay, yeah, I
same
can
family
go in.
code set up for two different categories.
I'm sorry, say that again?
We have same family code set up for two different categories. So we have CA for capacitors as well as for carrier equipment. Okay.
Yeah, I'll go back and look at that and see if there might have been a reasoning why, but it might just be a typo. So thanks for bringing that to attention. I'll go and look it over, and then of course if there's any, I'll try to talk to Bill as well to see if there might have been a reasoning why we did that back when.
This is Nate. This is Nate. I am looking at the list from the consortium versus a list from AutoCAD Electrical, and there's no CA in AutoCAD Electrical. At least it's not listed. In the document I see.
Yeah, I think, Nate, what we kind of did in the past, if I remember right, because I know this was way back when on the family code stuff, was that there were some of those family designations that did not match the utilities, equipment types that we commonly have.
Right.
So I think what we tried to do is we put a list together of the ones that we would like to have for a future AutoCAD Electrical release at some point in time, as far as the family code designation that came out of the box software. And that document was a result of that. So we might have reused some of the existing ones and recategorized it, or we created brand new ones that better represented the family or the equipment, I guess, groupings that better define the utility space.
Okay.
So,
all right. Even if there's a conflict, you could probably just, I don't know if we could live with it or not, have capacitors and carrier equipment in the same.
Yeah, I think it's a typo, to be honest. I want to say CP was capacitor, if I remember right. But again, I'll just double check with Bill, because I know, like I said, I know that Bill and I think Joe created initially at the time. A couple years ago. I know at the time I had some input, but I can't remember exactly everything. But I'll revalidate and make sure, and then make necessary changes and let everybody know if on that one. But thanks for the heads up on that, because obviously it made it past 3 years of sitting there. So, we'll
The lights
take a look
haven't
at
gone
it.
out. The lights
there you
haven't
go.
blinked.
There you go. That's a positive way of looking at it. No problem. Thank you for the heads up, though. Appreciate it. Okay, so as I guess real quickly, is there any other additional comments or questions or anything anybody's got? Because I know I'm already 6 minutes over, and I don't want to take any more time than necessary. Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys' time, and look forward to the next meeting and seeing everybody in October. Again, just kind of think about some topics that you would like to discuss, or if there's some demos you would like to show, please let me know what they are and what you think it would take to do it, and that type of thing, so we can start putting the agenda together. And like I said, my hopes is to have at least all the recommendations in by August 31st, and probably have a actual pinned up and ready to go agenda somewhere around the end of September, mid-September at the latest. So that way we kind of have a good game plan set and ready to go. So again, appreciate y'all's time, and y'all have a good afternoon and a great weekend.
Thank you, Jared.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.